Hello and welcome to Studio 3246, the OD, for episode 2 of the Hold the Line Sports Betting Podcast, where we do the work so you don't have to. Fellas, what do y'all think about that?
That is
3246, the OD.
Love it.
All right.
And we're doing it here
That's
late
a little
at
inside
11
joke.
p.m.
All right, Coach Cam here alongside my fellow analysts, bringing you a recap of Week 1 and a preview for Week 2. And fellas, what a week it was. Early upsets, plenty of surprises, and more than a few disappointments. Just a heads up for you guys, we are on hour 12 of a 12-hour workday, so if we get a little loopy, that is on us, just to be expected after the day we went through. This is our second take of getting this podcast done. First take did not go super well. A couple technical difficulties, one of which one of our cohorts sounded like he was talking from another room. So we're going to run it back and give it another do-over. So here we are. We're going to start off Week 1 recap, our games of the week. We're going to keep score throughout the season of our predictions and how we did. First game we went over was Georgia versus Clemson. We were pretty much unanimous there. Nathan, Brandon, and Will all went UGA to cover, which they did, and I went under on the total points, which also hit. Moving on. Well, go ahead. Go ahead, Brandon. What do you got on the Georgia-Clemson game? Just a real quick blurb. We got to keep it pushing.
Just real quick, Georgia looked better than expected, I thought. They are the number one team in the country for a reason. I think that was shown on Saturday, and props to Mike Bobo, offensive coordinator, for making adjustments at halftime. Clemson came out completely different look than we thought, made some adjustments, and we proceeded to beat the crap out of Clemson.
Absolutely.
So that's all I got. Other than some standout players, Malachi Starks, obvious, probably one of the best safeties in the entire league. And Carson Beck looked good. Like it. Love it.
Well done. Moving on, let's go Florida versus Miami. Split decision right here. Myself and Brandon went the way of Miami. Nathan and Will went Florida. Of course, we know how that game turned out. What was it, 41-10 or 17? I think
17.
they scored a garbage time
17.
TD. Yeah, a drubbing. Just an absolute beatdown of the opposition. So, Will, I definitely want you to have some insight on this game. You've got a dog in the fight. What are your thoughts on Florida?
Billy's cooked. He's getting fired. We're going 2-10 at best.
2-10, that's crazy.
It's going to be a long season. Just got news that DJ's starting Saturday, so Graham Mertz out with a concussion. So we'll see how that goes. Probably going to give up like 80 points to Sanford and win 83-80. Yeah, we looked horrible. That's about all I could say. But Miami did look good very fast.
So take the over in that game.
Yes, smash.
All right, last one was Notre Dame and Texas A&M. Absolutely smoked by all four of us. We all went the way of A&M. Notre Dame showed out, did their thing in that game. So all four of us took the loss there. Nate, what are your thoughts on the Notre Dame Texas A&M game?
Yeah, this game was a little weird to me. I could go all day on it, but just to shorten it up, I thought coming into Kyle Field it was going to be a little bit tougher task for Notre Dame to pull out the win, but they did. So both defensive lines, they proved that they are top 5 in the country for sure. They look really good. I think really the downside of this is Wegman. He didn't look comfortable back in the pocket. It was Colin Klein's first game with him, so we'll see if that improves throughout the year, but it just didn't look good first game of the year.
Agreed. All right, so let's go to our 5 individual plays. I'll go ahead and start my all-ACC selections. I went, just so you guys know, currently the score on the big games of the week, me and Brandon tied at 2-1, Nate and Will 1-2. As I said before, we will keep score throughout the year, see if there's a comeback in the making or if me and Brandon can keep the momentum going.
Only way is up from here, folks.
So let's go to 5 individual plays. All ACC for me. First game was TCU at Stanford. I smoked this one. Had TCU covering at 9.5. They easily could have done this, fellas. Outplayed Stanford the entire way. Just made some key mistakes, some fundamental errors, a lot of penalties, a lot of undisciplined play. So they won by 7, so I missed that one. Virginia Tech at Vandy. One of my most disappointing teams of the week was Virginia Tech. I actually had them covering in this game, and they didn't even win. Props to Vandy, though. Scrappy bunch of guys they got there. More to come from them. I think I see a pretty solid season from Vandy this year. Not so sure about Georgia Tech or Virginia Tech. Ohio at Syracuse. I got this one. Syracuse covering at -14.5. They won by 16. Offense looked good. Kyle McCord, solid quarterback, a little bit of a gunslinger. Might have some turnovers. They got some good receivers, some 50-50 guys that can bring the ball in too. Georgia State and Georgia Tech. I had Georgia Tech by 21. They won by like 23, I believe. Close first half. Georgia State's well coached. I don't think they're going to be very good, but they will be competitive within the games. I think depth just plays a toll at the end. Once you get to that second half and you don't really have the manpower, it's hard to match up against these Power 4 schools. So I covered there, and then the last one was BC at FSU. I'm going to give myself the cover on here because I did have BC plus 17, and they ended up winning the game. My other play was the over, which did not hit by a touchdown because we had Boston College downing the ball at the 3 going into victory formation like an NFL team. Bill O'Brien special right there. So let's kick it over to Brandon. Real quick, go through yours, see how you did.
Yeah, real quick, I think I was 3-1-1 with a push. We'll start with the push. Kentucky had them -7 first quarter. I knew going in that was going to have push potential. That's pretty much why I took it. I didn't think it would lose at any point. Thought they were going to be a little bit more explosive. They did. I don't think they wanted to put much on film in that game, knowing that they were going to win. But yeah, we got 7 on the dot first quarter, so that's a push right there. We'll go through the losses real quick. Kind of a heartbreaker with LSU, USC. Had LSU covering 3 right on the dot. Just a quick recap of that game. LSU's secondary, no better than they were last year, so we're going to see more of the same from them. A lot of offense, not a lot of defense. Front 4 looked pretty good, but when you're going against USC and Miller Moss, who, as I did mention last week, was Heisman candidate, he did throw for almost 400 yards, so good start to his campaign with a win there, so that kind of hurt. We went, I think, Texas -30. That smash did predict them to come out hot and kind of run the Sark offense, and they did just that. They ran all over the field. Colorado State looked kind of bad, kind of slow, not the same team that we saw against Colorado last year. My lock of the week, another big winner right there, was UGA, so we kind of went over that one already. But they smashed the 13.5 line, kind of regretting not putting more on that or buying that up to like 14.5 or so or whatever. I think the other one I had was Alabama. Alabama -7.5 first quarter. Did predict them to come out pretty fast. They looked good. I'm not going to lie. I am a big Georgia fan. Kind of made me a little bit nervous. I know Nate loves to hear that. Hopefully Georgia made Nate a little nervous as well on the other end. But they did come out very fast. Did help. They got 2 picks, I think, that helped the offense really jump on them quick in the first quarter. So, yeah, 3-1-1. Not bad.
And you did say that Alabama was not going to punt the entire first half, and they did not.
They did not punt.
So bang that prediction right there.
You guys heard it here first.
Off to a good start.
Ride it while it's hot. You know what I mean?
Let's go ahead and go. That was your 5, right?
I think that was my 5.
All right, so let's go to Will. Go ahead and go through yours.
I went 3-2 overall. Lock of the week hit. Plus money play was close. So first, I'll just start with the 3 other plays. Had Minnesota versus UNC. UNC money line. UNC won that game very close. Minnesota had a chance to win it at the end. Praise up to Max Johnson. Horrible injury, dislocated hip. It's going to be luckily the backup for UNC. He's not bad. It was kind of a QB competition going into the season, so we'll see how they play out for the rest of the year. Then going over to Nebraska and UTEP. Had UTEP plus 27.5. It was looking good in the first half. Nebraska was able to move the ball, but they just couldn't score at first. And then second half, they just kind of went ballistic. Raiola looked good. 238, 2 touchdowns. So he's going to be a problem going forward. Then Penn State, West Virginia. This should have been my lock of the week. I loved it, but I had Indiana a little bit better. Penn State -6.5. Won by 22. Explosive plays won this game for Penn State. Had a 50-yard touchdown, 40-yard touchdown, 20-yard touchdown, and a 55-yard play just before half. So able to have explosive plays, which they did not last year. Lock of the week was Indiana versus Florida International. Had minus 20.5. Indiana won 31-7, so able to hit that. Curtis Rourke, he wasn't asked to do much, but he looked good. And then the running backs for Indiana were able to do a lot. Plus money play, Miami, Ohio, Northwestern had Miami money line. Northwestern only won 13-6. It was the game script that we needed. We knew it was going to be a low-scoring game. It's what we needed. The only thing that killed Miami was turnovers. Usually they don't turn the ball over that much. They threw 2 picks in Northwestern territory. So come away with a touchdown on one of those. It's a whole different ball game. Even just a field goal, it's a whole different ball game. And then also they forced 2 fumbles off of Northwestern and didn't score off a single one. So it was overall 3-2, not bad. Lock of the week hit, so 1-0 on that. But yeah, that's about all I had.
All right, so you were 3-2. Brandon, you were 3-2.
3-1-1.
3-1-1
with a push.
Count it. All right, and I was 3-2. So Nathan, did all of us finish over 500? This is the moment of truth.
Come on, Nathan.
Go over your 5. What do you got?
I went 3-2.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Let's go, baby.
So I'm gonna start off with the plus money play of the week and my lock of the week. So JMU Charlotte, that was a really good first half. Charlotte played really well, better than I thought they would. But second half, JMU just proved that they got more depth than Charlotte. They started to bully their defense and wound up winning that game big. I think Charlotte's a more improved team, though. They're not quite there yet. They will be better than last year is what I'm seeing, but we'll see if some of these injuries or if they can recover from some of the injuries they had over fall camp. That did hit at minus 10. North Texas versus South Alabama. This was my plus money play of the week. I had North Texas money line in this. It was a really good first half also. South Alabama was actually up 19-14 at one point of this, but like I told y'all last week, if this becomes a running match, North Texas will win this ball game. So Chandler Morris wound up throwing for 415 yards in this game. And I also want to credit Gio Lopez. He broke a USA school record with 432 total yards in the air. But with that being said, North Texas looked good on offense. So listen to this. They came out number 2 on offense in the conference. They came out dead last in defense in the conference through week 1. So I'll be looking at that throughout the rest of the season, but that did hit for me also. This next game, Rice versus Sam Houston State, I had Rice minus 6 in the first half. Let's just say Rice looked very bad. Sam Houston State was coming off a 3-9 record last year. I did see they could score late in the game, so I thought Rice was going to get out to a hot start with E.J. Warner coming in from Temple, did really good last year. But at the end of the day, Rice got bullied up front. They produced 10 yards on their first 4 drives and a pick 6 thrown by E.J. Warner. So that just wasn't a good game overall. Rice is definitely – they did not look as good as I thought they would this year. I predicted them having 7 wins. I'm looking more in the 5 range if they play like this the rest of the year. Oklahoma versus Temple, over 57.5 is what I had on this game. I did not hit this one either. Temple may not win a game this year, boys, the way they played. So I projected the score to be 49-10, but Temple just couldn't score a touchdown, so that's why that didn't hit. Oklahoma looked good as always. Offense, Jackson Arnold moved the ball really well. And then Temple also had less than 200 yards. My last game was UTSA versus KSU. I did hit this one also. I had UTSA minus 14 in the first half. Basically, UTSA got off to a hot start in this. KSU did move the ball. They scared me at the end of the half, but wound up kicking a field goal. Luckily, I did take the first half because the end of the game, KSU did start to have a little comeback, and UTSA just couldn't score much past that.
How about them Owls?
Who wins more games this season, Temple or KSU?
Boys, I never thought I'd say this. I'm going to have to go KSU.
No shot.
Honestly,
no
honestly, neither one might win a game this year.
Now,
Neither one might win a game.
The real question right here: KSU or Florida?
It's still Florida. It's not that. It's not
I
that
don't know.
dire.
Is it at fifth third?
Fifth third is a gauntlet. All 10,000 of us.
I think you're at like Florida fan stage right now, where you like are still a fan, but you just want
Yeah.
to see the ship burn.
But
bad.
the sky is falling.
Yeah.
You know, I'm personally more of an NFL guy.
Good call.
So, but you know, Falcons haven't given me much to think about. But you know, hey,
Super Bowl bound. Super
NFL
Bowl
picks coming
bound.
soon, maybe. NFL picks coming soon.
Perhaps.
Thursday?
Preview?
Thursday. Okay.
All right. So you good on that? Was that your 5?
Yeah, all good. All good.
All right, so real quick, we got to keep it pushing. Let's go, everyone, team of the week, player of the week, and disappointment of the week. All right, so we'll go team of the week first. Brandon, what you got?
I know this might be biased, but based on what I saw, them dogs.
They would have
Georgia.
been. They would have
team of
been
the week.
mine if you didn't say it. But I'm gonna go Miami. I thought they're fast and they're deep. Like that is a very impressive organization.
To your point on Miami, the adversity we faced in the other podcast, I had said I would see Clemson. They did not look great against Georgia. I still see Clemson going to ACC championship. How will they handle a team with elite team speed like Miami has as well in an ACC championship matchup?
I don't think they do. I have my pick. I've been riding with Miami from the beginning.
I'm down
Thank God they showed
riding
me.
you
They
on-
proved me right so far. Will, who you got? Team of the week.
The Vanderbilt Commodores.
Love that selection.
They
That's
look
hard.
so good. Pavia is absolutely him.
Dog. Should
Dare I say SEC championship?
Should we start
Or
a
bowling.
segment where we pick our players of the week like we're doing and we write them on the board and list them as dogs
Yeah, dogs of the week
until they show us they're not?
or dogs of the season.
I like that. Write
Vanderbilt
that down.
just
Write that-
wins
hey,
write that
in
down.
the trenches.
I like that.
All right, so you got Vandy. Nate, who you got? Team of the week.
Team of the week, I got to go with the Boston College Eagles.
Man, they did show me something. They showed me something. All right.
Not that I'm biased
they?
towards Bill O'Brien or anything, boys.
DJ,
Or
But-
did they just play normal football?
Yeah, I know. Is it like is it Boston College or is it FSU
So-
was really that disappointing?
bold of them
So-
not to cover a corner route, but DJ, you missed it.
Correct.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so-
I think they read the throw that he was going to
What's
make.
the Madden play or Engage 8 where you just rush 8 every time and drop 3 into coverage? I'm doing that every time against FSU.
So I think the reason this game turned out the way it was, I think Boston College would have scored less, obviously, if Florida State had a decent defensive line at all. But with that being said, Bill O'Brien had a great idea going into the game of what he wanted to do. Castellanos looked really good running the ball, especially on the QB design runs. Guys, they bullied Florida State on the line of scrimmage.
And it was
bullied those
runs up the
guys.
middle, dude. Just like straight up
Facts.
runs up the gut, AB gap. Like they weren't trying to be fancy with it. It was like Boston College said, our guys are better than your guys, and we're going to run it down your throat. And they did for 4 quarters.
Another thing, too, is Castellanos was outrunning everybody on the corners out there. I mean, there was a lot of runs on the outside edge, and those guys couldn't even catch up to him.
Even
I mean,
the
he
ones
was-
that weren't like big breakout runs, like they looked like they were going to be negative plays, and then by the time they get to him, he's already rounded the corner and he turned it into 3 or 4.
there was a lot of missed tackles in the backfield on him.
could be a future dog.
And also,
Jury's out. We'll see.
DJ's still a bad quarterback.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That just,
DJ, you need to get a job.
so
just
not
put the
impressed
fries
with
in the
him.
bag.
He
man.
needs Indeed.com.
Also, guys, not sure if y'all heard, but the "We Want Brock" chant started coming out.
I did hear
Yeah.
that.
the stadium.
Yeah. What was it? Early first half or end of the first
It
half?
was right
End of
after the pick
Yeah.
before the first half.
End of the
And
first
don't
half,
even get
yeah.
me started on tight end 1 for Florida State. That can be a next segment.
Man, it was like 5. Like he had 5 chances, and it was 3 of them were drops straight up.
Just straight drops.
just
He was catching
he was
like the
eating
fade
popcorn on the
god.
sideline or something. Just hands weren't there.
bad.
Catching like the fade god, Josh Turner.
All right, so let's go. We'll move on to player of the week. All right, so player of the week, Brandon. Who you got? Who is your player of the your dog of the week?
Yep, dog of the week. This goes back to the dogs. Again, I know biased, but Nate Frazier. Okay, just a little backstory on Nate Frazier. Now, this hasn't been fact checked, but from what I've heard, Nate Frazier did not graduate early for spring practice. He's been at UGA for 6 weeks. He's a true freshman, and he looked like the next coming of Todd Gurley on the field. And Clemson has a good defense, but the way I saw this man hit holes with that speed was just elite. I think he had 11 carries for 87 yards and a touchdown. So, dog, 18-year-old Clemson's defense wasn't worried.
Brandon also had this take in the first attempt of us making this podcast, so I'm really glad he had a chance to bring it back out.
And I was going to put a player prop on Nate Frazier to go over yards, and it wasn't even in Bovada because nobody knew who he was. So,
Nobody but you, Brandon.
exactly. Deep dive.
All right, so for me, going riding the Vandy train here, Diego Pavia is my dog of the week. This dude, this dude here is something else. That whole team is a scrappy bunch. Big fans of Vandy. I'm riding the train. I think it's a bowl game, right? They got to be a bowl contender.
It's an SEC championship.
It's an SEC championship. But yeah, Pavia's mine. Big fan of this guy. I think he's gonna have a bright future at Vandy.
Huge game for their over total on wins for the season. It was at 2.5.
Yeah.
So I will say their next 2 games is Alcorn State and Georgia State. So
Dubs.
Oh, that's it.
Dubs.
If you did that future, you're looking good. Will, who you got? Player of the week.
As much as it pains me, it's Cam Ward. He looked good. There was one play where he just literally just stood in the middle of the field, didn't just run out of bounds. And I was screaming. I was like, why didn't Florida just hit him? He was just that nonchalant, but looked like the best quarterback in the nation. So, yeah, it's Cam Ward. He went into the swamp, never faced that kind of atmosphere, that kind of heat, like Florida heat. So, it's definitely Cam Ward for me.
Like, objectively, I think the game moves slower for him than a lot of other quarterbacks at the NCAA level. You just look at him, the composure that he's got is, for a kid, that's it's really impressive watching him go. It was almost like lazy. Like, he was like, this is all they got? Like, this is all Florida's bringing to the table?
Yeah. The only thing he did wrong was throw across his body multiple times, and it did lead to a pick.
I feel like that's like a confidence thing.
Yeah.
Like, I can make
do
that
it
throw.
if he wants
Screw
to.
it. I can make that throw.
The one thing is he needs to not do it against defenses like Clemson.
Yeah,
when he faces them.
they'll make him pay
They'll
for
make
sure.
him pay for that. Florida didn't do crap.
Offenses that will take advantage of those situations.
Yeah. They'll turn that into points. Nate, who you got?
Yeah, so
Player of the week.
My player of the week is going to be Keon Sabb, safety at Alabama.
Dog.
He had 2 interceptions, first game with Alabama against Western Kentucky. I'm not going to compare him to Caleb Downs or anything like that, but the reason I picked him is because he's already matched what Caleb Downs did last year. So they were at 2-2. And a lot of that credit goes to Kane Womack. Really good defensive scheme, first game of the year. I'm just excited to see what else he does.
Nate, you can't pick an Alabama player every time we do a dog of the week, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just making sure we're on the same page.
I just had to pick him because of the Caleb Downs stat.
Understood.
Honorable mention, Riley Leonard.
Yeah.
Faces his old coach in College Station. Dog.
Honorable mention, Miller Moss.
True. Great point.
Dishonorable mention, the whole Florida defense.
Also, I'll throw this out there too, boys. Nussmeier looked good also.
He really did.
Nussmeier did look good.
He competes. Last one, disappointment of the week. Real quick. Go ahead, Brandon.
Disappointment of the week. This is obvious for me. Florida State.
I feel like it's almost everyone.
You can get away with one loss this year with the 12-team playoff. Georgia Tech, tough. I could see later in the season if they were to get hot, people kind of forgetting about that game, being week 0 and all. But to come out week 1 after that and lose again in a game that never felt close, really, is just kind of upsetting. After going undefeated the year prior, it's like, come on, disappointment.
I feel like it's really Florida State, but kind of my honorable mention is Clemson. In the same kind of scenario, just coming out and like, did I expect them to win? No, I think UGA is going to be one of the best football teams this season. But I do expect a team like this to compete for more than one half of football. Like I think kind of the same way that Florida came out and it just looked like they never had a chance. Like I really feel like, especially offensively, Clemson really never had a chance in this game. And so for me, that was kind of disappointing. Will, who you got?
Can it really be anyone else? It's Florida. It's Florida. Yeah, we looked slow. We looked bad. We had like 106 rushing yards, which on the surface doesn't look bad. All of it was almost on one play. We had a 75-yard touchdown run. After that, it was like 28 carries for 64 yards, which is about like 2.3. So not very good. Some about Billy's toast. And
Hot seat.
Early hot seat.
let's go get
Scorching seat.
Ryan Grubb from the Seahawks or what's his face?
Coach Prime.
Coach Prime.
Not 4-8 Dion. Not 4-8 Dion.
Coach Prime. All right,
Well,
Nate, who you got?
On the bright side,
yeah.
on the bright side, you get to see DJ Lagway. See what he's
Nice
got.
pronunciation there.
There we
Yeah,
go.
I was worried about
Good.
that one.
Hey, I got it
I
first
don't know
try.
how to say it.
What's the one we're worried about you
Lagway?
saying? go for it.
Riola.
That wasn't bad either.
It's Raul.
Raul.
Hey, but you get to see the future of the team and the direction they're heading
Isn't
at
that like a
quarterback.
cough drop medicine?
Riola.
Ricola.
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 You just got to sing when you say it. Riola.
Disavow Raiola because he was committed to Georgia for a hot minute and then was scared of competition. So
So is it Riola or Raula?
Raiola.
I've heard Raiola.
Wasn't he
it's
committed to
Raul.
Ohio State as well at one point?
Raiola.
Wasn't he committed to Ohio State for a while
Yep.
as well?
Then flipped
Yeah,
to
then
Georgia.
flipped.
Yeah.
Then flipped again.
Yeah.
Soft, scared of comp.
Nate, who you got? Your disappointment of the week.
They won, but I got to go with the Oregon Ducks, guys. The
like
reason
that.
I'm saying this is it was a 10-point win over Idaho. So
The Vandals.
the Vandals of Idaho, the potatoes. So, listen. With that being said, though, Dylan Gabriel did not look bad at all. Their offense looked about like I'd expect. The only issue with that team is they didn't finish many drives.
Just stalled, yeah.
Yeah, they didn't finish many drives, and Idaho kept the game close.
Just looked flat. Like they were
I
flat.
think from Oregon teams, like in previous years, like if they don't have the big chunk play to get them in the end zone, I don't see them being a big goal line threat.
No,
So, like a red zone threat.
Yeah,
like you're
Idaho's
saying.
not a North Dakota or South Dakota State. Like this game should have been a 30-point game.
Right.
What it was, I think, is that when Oregon, they get, they have a scheme, but when things got off, like
Off script. Yeah.
off schedule, Bo Nix last year, he wasn't afraid to move it. Dylan Gabriel, he's not going to move back there. He can, which he should start to, but he wasn't moving.
Bo Nix puts up 50 on Idaho.
Bo Nix is also 27.
50.
Dog.
He is also a big Bo Nix fan.
Shout out starting for the Broncos now.
Why are you a Bo Nix fan?
He went to Auburn.
Yeah.
He went to other schools too.
Exactly.
Look, he likes him. I don't know. I didn't ask him
All right,
why. I just
fair.
know he does. He said he was going to be the best first-round pick in the
He has
NFL
looked good.
draft.
So he's going to be one of the
I have
better
heard good
quarterbacks
things.
coming out of the draft.
He
Yeah.
also
I've
likes
heard good
Spencer
things.
Rattler.
He does like Spencer Rattler.
Isn't he like
I like the
Bo
way he's
Nix
spun
like
the ball.
27?
Yeah,
He's like my age, yeah. Yeah, I saw him on campus at Auburn while I was still in college.
He was a teacher. He's actually a professor. All right, so we'll switch gears. Normally, that would be kind of like an episode for us, is just kind of like that week one recap, and then we would save the week two preview for the next one. Due to time constraints and some technical difficulties, we're going to squish it all together into one episode and try not to make it run too long. We're going to do our best. All right, so we are going to, Brandon, go ahead, give us a sneak peek. Week two, these are our 3 games of the week. Not going into detail yet. What are the 3 that we're looking out for? Just a little preview. We'll do a deeper dive in a little bit.
Games of the week. I don't know why NCAA is doing this, but this is back-to-back weeks where I think the best game of the week is at noon. But first at noon, we got Texas, Michigan. 3:30 slate, I think, is NC State, Tennessee. And then the late-night slate that we chose as our game of the week is Colorado, Nebraska.
Yes.
So
Again, Coach Prime.
I think all those have potential to be very interesting and kind of give us an insight on the season, how it's going to kind of move, and what these teams actually look like going into week 2. So I'm mostly, being the SEC guy, more so interested in the Texas-Michigan game, because this is another one of those games where big SEC school who could contend for a playoff spot, obviously, and a SEC championship goes against last year's champs in Michigan. So that'll be the game I'm most watching. So.
Nice. All right, let's go into our individual plays. So our top 5 plays. I'll go ahead and start us off. I'll drop mine in. Again, all ACC from this guy right here. So week 2, my all ACC picks. Game number 1, the popular Friday game is going to be, there's 2 Friday games, by the way, just in case y'all didn't know, for the ACC. The popular Friday game is going to be BYU versus SMU, but I'm a fan of making money, so I'm going to go with my lock, which is Duke at Northwestern. Last week, Northwestern, they won 13-6 on the road versus Miami of Ohio, not the real Miami, but the fake one that has another state. Not much of a passing attack from these guys. Historically fine, playing ugly games. This is just kind of like their MO. Last week, Duke beat Elon 26-3, but had trouble establishing the run. Northwestern has a good run defense. I predict a Duke win. The score is going to be around 17-13. So if the exact score is 17-13, remember this moment, gentlemen. It was legitimately, this game was at like 45.5 was the over-under, and 2 days later it already dropped to like 39.5. So I'm like taking it now while I have the chance. Since I've got a 17-13 win, that is only 30 points, which is less than 38.5.
Good math right there.
So yeah, absolutely. I had to practice that one, but
Does that
we
check out with
nailed it.
Nate's math?
Is that line up? 30 is under 38.5, less than.
I think.
Excellent. We're gonna go with it.
Yeah.
We're gonna go with it, guys. I saw it at -115. The lines could change, but I did see it at -115, so that's what I'm gonna go with on that end. Game number 2. This is my most hotly anticipated game of the weekend. Georgia Tech at Syracuse. Both teams have impressed me on offense, but both also have holes defensively. I'm worried about Georgia Tech's corners. They're a little smaller, and they don't have a ton of depth. I'm not sure they're going to match up against Syracuse receivers. There's like 3 of these dudes that are like legit 50-50 guys that are like 6'3" and above. You got a dude named Gatson who was like 6'4", 225, and brought down literally everything that Kyle McCord threw last week. So I worry about Georgia Tech being able to cover those guys. Syracuse, conversely, had the worst run defense over the entire weekend in the ACC. And this is my personal opinion. I don't know if they actually did, but I did. You guys know I watched every single game from first snap to last snap. From
Got to.
First to last. They were horrible at setting edges. So anytime they get to the outside, I think Jamal Haynes is going to have a good day. And also it's going to be tough to contain Haynes King. So as far as Syracuse passing game, Georgia Tech run attack, I have an over as one of my picks, but I'm riding with my guys at Georgia Tech. My big play here is the Georgia Tech money line at -130. We're going with it. A big road win for Georgia Tech. But the over is also happening. You can play either one of those. I think it was at like 57.5, and I'm not even scared of it. Like it's going to be like 40-30. Game 3, we're going to go with Pittsburgh and Cincinnati. Cincinnati is actually much improved over last year. I liked Pitt last week offensively. They got a young quarterback, Holstein. I like his game, but I saw some decision making that I might not have been impressed with. But I think it's just a young quarterback that's he's going to go through things like that. Problem is, he went through those things against Kent State, and that's fine, but you're not going to be able to go through those things against a team like Cincinnati, who is much improved on defense. So I think he's going to make some turnovers, he's going to make some mistakes, and I think that's going to cost them. Also, the last 5 years, last 5 games on the road, Pittsburgh is 0-5 against the spread. It's like it's pretty close, like -3 for Cincinnati. So I'm going to go Cincinnati just taking the money line. So, I mean, I think they're going to win by more than 3. So Cincy's going to win this game. Too many mistakes from Pittsburgh. Cincy makes them pay. -130. Game 4, another all-ACC matchup, Virginia and Wake Forest. Wake Forest is my absolute favorite offense to watch in the ACC. Brandon, ask me why.
Why?
They run what's called the slow mesh. Do you guys know what the slow mesh is?
Sadly.
Tell me.
The slow mesh is basically this extended RPO, run pass option, for those of you back home. RPO where the quarterback and the running back literally just stand next to each other for 2.5 to 3.5 seconds and do nothing. Literally, they do nothing. They just stand there. Then what they're trying to do is they make the defense, like the defense has to commit to what their plan is before they move. And the reason they can do this is because Wake's offensive line is so beast mode that no one can move them. They have like a top 12 offensive line like in the nation. I had no idea. And then I watched them play and I was like, oh, these guys are bricks. Like no one can move them anywhere. So yeah, the slow mesh, favorite offense I've ever watched. They literally just stand there and just wait for the defense to move, and they say, I got you. We're going to do something different from what you thought. So a lot of fun for that reason alone. I have a ton of, I've got like 9 reasons. Wake Forest is 5-0 in their last 5 games versus Virginia. They're 15-8 against the spread at home. Going into the game, they're -3. They're also 3-1 against the spread in home openers. This is their home opener. Everything is pointing the direction of Wake Forest. Wake Forest money line -120. All right. Last one, another game I'm really excited for, App State and Clemson. A lot of people are going to have a get-back game for Clemson. I still think they probably win this game, but their offense really disappointed me against Georgia, and App State is no slouch. Like, this is one of the favors for like an out-of-Power 4 team to make the playoff. Like, these are one of the candidates, like one of the top 3 candidates, I think. So for me, I think it's a statement game for App State. And so for that reason, I think Clemson still wins. I'm going to have App State covering at +17.5. This one was also at -130 when I got it. We'll see if the lines shift. Those are my 5. We'll go over to Brandon, and he will present his. And then we'll go to Will and then Nathan.
Yeah, we have somewhat of a sleeper SEC slate other than Texas-Michigan, which is one of our games of the week. We do have a SEC matchup for week 2, so that's pretty fun to see. But we're going to start off with Alabama and South Florida. From what I saw last week, as far as Bama covering this -7.5 first quarter, we're going to roll with Alabama covering 18.5 first half. I think, and Nate can probably speak on this at some point because he's an Alabama fan and he does have a lot of info on South Florida. I just think Alabama is obviously more talented in literally every position on the field. I think they get more pressure to the quarterback this week again, and I think they force a bunch of turnovers. I don't see them punting the ball again in the first quarter of this game, and they will score at least 21 points in the first half to South Florida's 0. And small might be a little bit of get-back game. If you guys remember last year, this was the game that that South Florida almost won.
The benching?
Old Tyler Buckner.
Tyler Buckner with the start.
The lacrosse player.
Milroe got benched in that game last year. So there could be a little bit of hard feelings maybe. This could be we're going to show you where Alabama and you're South Florida type deal coming from those guys. But jumping over to our next one, we have a high-scoring game in Oklahoma State versus Arkansas. From what I saw, Arkansas, they have a dual-threat quarterback, and he can cause some serious havoc. They did score 70 points on Arkansas. Pine Brook? Yeah. So 70 points. I know they played the school of the deaf and the blind, but 70 points is still a big deal. They can score the football. The problem is they have no defense. So I know, just like to my point, they did play Pine Brook there. But their back 7, bad news. I got over 61.5. I see a 37-31. So if my math checks out, that's 67 points.
That's 68 points.
68 points.
37
yeah,
to 31?
that was Nate math. Yeah,
68.
Yeah, that was Nate
Is that
math.
68, Nate?
But
How about
regardless-
38-31? Make it 69.
Nice. Regardless, that is still higher than 61.5. So I have that. My absolute, we'll get into that later. We'll go to the South Carolina-Kentucky matchup.
This one.
SEC matchup. I do have Kentucky covering. Now, I think I bought this up.
Best tackler on
Computers.
the field, South Carolina's quarterback.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys saw that, but Sellers, he's a big dude, too. He laid the wood.
6'6". He's
Brought him
gigantic.
down with ease.
So I think I bought this up. I think the line is 8. I think about 8.5 to get the value a little bit there. Now, one thing to watch out for, South Carolina has a true freshman on defense named Dylan Stewart, and he is a man among boys. If you guys go watch film on him, I know they played Old Dominion, which might have not the highly touted offensive line that we might see at Kentucky, but he was slinging dudes around, okay? So that could be a problem, but from what I saw from South Carolina's offense, they're terrible. They cannot score the ball. They almost lost to Old Dominion week 1 at home. So I see Kentucky being a better all-around football team, controlling this game for a while, having Vandegrift at quarterback. I wouldn't say he's got a lot of game experience. I think he is a good quarterback. So that's why I have Kentucky minus 8.5. Moving forward, I do like this one. Cam might be able to speak on this a little bit. We have Tennessee versus NC State. We'll get into one of these. It is one of our games of the week. They just fall on my slate. But
let's just deep dive this one while we're here.
Yeah,
let's just get into it.
I'll go ahead and say I got Tennessee minus 9.5. Now I know for a fact. Did I buy that up? What's the line on that?
I saw it at minus 5.5. I think it went to like 6.5 or 7.5.
I think it went to 7.5, and I bought it all the way up to 9.5. I think they went by a touchdown and a field goal, 10 points. I don't think that's my final score. I actually think they probably beat them by like 14 or more.
I don't think it's close at the end.
Yeah, I think it's might be a feel it out game. But Tennessee, how do we say it, Nate?
Nico.
Good call.
Had to play it safe.
He has a possibility to be one of the best quarterbacks in college football, whether it's this year or next year or the year after that. This guy could sling the rock.
Yeah, we'll see more out of him this game. They're going to be playing a better defense than Chattanooga last week. So
exactly. I think they didn't slow anything down. They scored a lot of points last week. I think they do the same here against NC State. NC State is ranked, right? 24th?
They should not be, but they are.
No, last week was bad.
I think great value for 9.5 cover right there. I think my fourth one, we got Auburn, California. This is another one Cam can probably speak on a little bit too. I actually have Auburn minus 14. What do you think about that?
Minus 17.
Yeah, I took the 14 because I think it gets you to even. It gets you to plus 110 actually.
Can it go higher than that?
What I have the final score?
You might be able to go 14.5 and get like plus 120.
And it's at Auburn, correct?
Yeah. It is at Auburn.
Yeah, California's got to travel across the freaking country to play this game.
Dude, I don't care what team it is. What time of day is the game? Is it a night game?
Excellent question.
The voodoo magic of Jordan
3:30.
Hare.
3:30.
3:30.
3:30.
I've got 28-10 Auburn.
It'll get dark by the end of the game.
I like that. Dude, Jordan Hare, I don't care who you are, man. Going in that stadium, it's tough. It's one of the best environments in college football.
I just want to say, Auburn's wide receivers look pretty freaking good. Those boys can run. Those boys can catch. They can do everything you need a wide receiver
To piggyback on that, I watched California and UC Davis, and UC Davis's receivers were getting open. So if those fellas can get open, I would assume the guys from Auburn can probably get open. Also, in addition to that, on the offensive side, California's top running back, I saw him get hurt in like the third quarter. I don't know if he's going to play or not. It was like a doubtful listed, but it's definitely a knee thing, so we'll see if he plays and if he's limited if he does. And I didn't see much depth from the other guys that came in after him, so offensively I think they might have some issues as well.
All I can say is the game will not be as close as it was last year.
No, it's going to be tough to play there, man. It's tough to play at Auburn.
I think Auburn as a whole, as a football team as well, there is a lot of hype surrounding Auburn. I mean, they got a really good recruiting class coming in. I know.
In 26.
No, I still think they got the third in 25 right now.
It's up there. It's looking good. It's looking good.
But there's a lot of hype. I think they're really trying to set a culture right now and prove points for when those top recruiting classes do come in. I think, going back to Georgia, you can have all the right talent, but you got to have a culture surrounding that talent. You got to have the right guys for the right position. I think Auburn's trying to do that and lay a foundation right now, with Hugh Freeze being in year 2. So I like Auburn minus as high as you can get it.
Yeah, whatever you can get it for.
Lock of the week. If we want to deep dive this one a little bit too, Will can pitch in a little bit. I have Texas minus 6.5. I know Michigan's defense is really good. I can attest. But if we look back to last year, okay, we have Quinn Ewers went into Alabama, right? Week 2.
Yep.
Right? Won the game. We have every single lineman from that game coming back offensively. Not scared. Not scared of anybody on Michigan's team. Secondary is good, but every wide receiver that Texas has could start wide receiver 1 at probably any school in the country. except for maybe like Missouri where they have Luther Burden, and that might be the only one. But I see Michigan's offense just not being able to keep it up. I mean, Texas defense solid as well. I don't think. I mean, we can talk about the quarterback situation there as well if you want to go into that a little bit because
pull the old switcheroo.
Yeah, nobody really knew what was going to happen there. So if you want to talk about that,
yeah, very interesting situation over there. OG was only in on run plays really, but I do think this is going to be a lower scoring game, and Michigan will be able to hold Texas's offense, but it doesn't matter when you can't score. It's going to be like 24-10, something like that. It just depends, really. I mean, if Orgy gets in there, then he could make some plays. But eventually they're going to get to Michigan's defense. Will Johnson, very good corner. Didn't really look that great last week, though. He was kind of getting beat a little bit by Fresno State. But I think he's going to step up to the task. But, I mean, he can only cover one guy. So, and there's a bunch of other guys that can get open for Texas. So it'll be a fun game to watch. It's going to be lower scoring than people think with Texas, but they'll still cover 6.5.
Yeah, I think this game has the same feeling around it as Georgia Clemson did last week, where the line is probably smaller than I would have thought it would have been.
Yeah.
But I see this, Texas team kind of exposing Michigan a little bit to where, okay, they might be a good football team, but I don't know if they can hang with the big boys of college football. I know I've gone on and said about it, Ewers, when he has pressure, becomes not an elite quarterback. So we could see that in the Colorado State game where he got pressure and threw a pick. Can't have that against teams like Michigan where they could take advantage of that. So that's my lock of the week. That's my 5. I think we turn it over to Will himself now.
So in the interest of time, let's go down to 3. So do your top 3. I apologize for that. But we'll go down to 3, and then maybe we do 3 going forward. I don't know. We'll leave a comment if we want to go down to 3.
But I'll do my lock plus money, and then I guess my favorite one out of the 3 that I had. Lock, shockingly, Iowa minus 2.5. I'm on the train. They look good. They didn't really look good in the first half. The defense did, but the offense did not. In the second half, they had the highest scoring second half in Iowa football history. 34 points.
Oh,
nice little stat there.
They were good.
I do remember that. You were worried about the over.
I had the under 40, and it was 6-0 at halftime, and ended up being 40-0. Yeah, it
Bad
was
beat.
scary.
Horrible beat.
Yeah, it was tough. Next one, plus money play of the week. Same game, Duke Northwestern. I actually have Duke money line.
I have Duke as well winning this game.
Yeah, it's 2 horrible teams, and if I can get I guess less horrible team, it's just they're not favored because they're on the road. At plus money, I'm going to take it. So I think Duke will be able to scrounge out some plays from Malik Murphy. He's a little bit of he can move, he can throw it. So I think Duke will be able to win this game and probably game-winning fashion. Then the next one, I think my favorite play is Rutgers versus Akron, over 39.5. The way Rutgers hit the over last week is absolutely crazy. It was 38-7, literally 5 seconds on the clock, and they still ran it in for a touchdown to go over. It was ridiculous. I had the over. It was great. So I'm going to write it again. Over 39.5. I think they can score 40 themselves. But give me a touchdown, 10 points from Akron, then it's easy. I think this could literally go over by 10-plus points.
Oh, good value there.
So that's what I got for my 3.
Would you buy it up?
Potentially. I think I would just stick at this because it's minus 110 value. It's,
not bad.
It's pretty good value. You could maybe buy it up for even money, something like that. But I think because both defenses are okay. Akron's defense is pretty good for Group of 5, but I think Rutgers will be able to run all over them. So I got the over 39.5.
All right, Nate, give us your best 3, your top 3 plays of the week.
Sounds good. Back to the beautiful American Athletic Conference for my picks. Really good group of teams this year. Excited to see what they got. So I'm going to be on the Eastern Carolina train until I'm proven wrong. I've been telling y'all that for a few weeks now that I was predicting they have a really good season. I'm going to take them -3.5 at Old Dominion. I know they just played close to South Carolina, but Jake Garcia looked really good for Eastern Carolina, and it looks like they got a more improved defense. I mean, it was against Norfolk State, but still, they played really well. That is at +105 for -3.5. I bought it up. I think it was at -2.5 to start. My plus money play of the week, I'm going to do Tulsa money line over Arkansas State +240.
Oh, snap.
+240.
Now that's some value there, son.
Some good value. Hey, I just want y'all to know I am undefeated on plus money plays this year.
After week 1. Excellent
After
work.
week 1, yes.
That
3
is
for 3,
undefeated.
boys. 3 for 3. So
Don't
we're
call
going
it
to
a
keep that
streak.
train going. 3 for 3.
Yeah, week 0 counts.
So, got that Georgia Tech in. Yeah. So, Arkansas State, they gave up 235 on the ground to Central Arkansas.
Who?
Central. It's in the center of Arkansas somewhere.
Oh, okay. Weird.
Yeah, and 432 total yards to that team. Guys, Tulsa ran themselves for 323 last week. It was against Northwestern State still, so I'd say
Who?
them and Northwestern State.
Oh, okay.
So I would say them and Central Arkansas are pretty good comps in terms of competition for both teams. Tulsa only gave up 226 yards, and remember, like I said, Arkansas State gave up 432.
Yikes.
Really bad there. Arkansas State, though, their offense, 317 in the air. I was watching some film on them. That's obviously good numbers, right, for throwing the ball. Their offensive line had no push at all. They had 140 rushing, which is a lot, don't get me wrong, but against a team like Central Arkansas, you would think it'd be a little more. So
I'm sold. You've convinced me.
That's my job, man.
Let's
Just
ride,
put
baby.
it in. Literally just put it in just now.
put it in.
So give me Tulsa with the big win there, and it's at Arkansas State. Don't think there's going to be a problem with the crowd, to be honest with you. So
What's Tulsa's mascot again?
they're the Golden Hurricanes, correct?
That is correct.
That is
they are the
correct,
Golden
yeah.
Hurricanes.
Yeah.
Nate's the
Mascot
mascot.
champion
Yeah, he's
here.
the mascot guy. He knows all of them. He probably knows Central Arkansas.
They're the Bears, aren't they?
Yeah,
You go. Everyone knows it
if
but
I'm not
me.
mistaken.
I only know that because they're in KSU's. They used to be in KSU's conference.
Oh, that's cheating.
For
That's-
baseball. So
Doesn't count.
we would play them and smack them around a couple times.
All right, and my lock of the week is another Alabama team here. Give me UAB -6.5 first half against Louisiana Monroe.
Surprised you haven't mentioned Troy yet.
Facts.
I'm gonna give you a little sneak peek after this.
Troy
Okay.
diehard.
Okay.
Just a small sneak peek.
It's his
no
favorite
reason.
team.
Just 'cause they're from
Can't look like
Alabama.
what I'm gonna say. So UAB last week against Alcorn State. Who was that? You go ahead and ask
What's
it.
the mascot?
The Braves. So
Good.
Yeah.
Go Braves.
So, Jacob Zeno, quarterback for UAB, he looked really good. He threw for 215, 2 touchdowns. Listen to this. UAB had 8 players combined and rushed for 302 yards. They got everybody involved. So, defense was really good. They only allowed 70 yards to Alcorn State. ULM, they did beat Jackson State last week. Good comp between those two teams. They played it close at the end. It got away just a little bit. But in my opinion, General Booty for ULM has to play a perfect game for this to even be
General
close.
What a name.
Name of the year.
Dog.
So
He's a dog already. I don't even care about his stats.
give me UAB -6.5 first half at -135. Real quick though, Cam, just saying Troy, just a few seconds. Look at the over in Troy-Memphis game at 56.5. Remember what we said last week?
Yep.
That was a banger, right?
No, that was easy money.
Easy. Memphis and Troy both combined for 66 points in the first game of the year.
They're banging the over again.
So that's going to be something else to look at.
Okay. All right. Strapped for time. We're not going to deep dive any of the games of the week. We got to audible on that. It is
Strictly picks.
It is like tomorrow right now.
facts.
So
I will say real quick, Colorado +8.
all right. So
Book it, stamp it,
let's
take
go
it to the
ahead.
bank.
So let's go all three. We'll start. What's game 1? Texas, Michigan. What do you got?
Texas -6.5.
Texas -6.5 for me.
Texas -6.5 for me as well.
Nate.
Texas -6.5, and I might even buy it up.
All right. So no one's different here. We're all going to be tied. All right. What's next game?
Tennessee, NC State.
What you got?
Tennessee -9.5.
I have Tennessee -7.5. So I guess that still counts.
Can I do team totals?
Yes.
Tennessee over 33.5 points.
Tennessee, write that down.
like that.
Tennessee over 33.5.
Can I buy it up more than 9.5 right now
Yeah.
for some plus money?
I don't know.
We can check that real fast.
I thought 9.5 was plus money.
9.5. That might have been a different game.
Maybe an alternate.
How we say his name again?
Nico.
Now it's down.
Iomaleva?
No, it's right there.
Is Texas, Michigan?
Oh,
Tennessee. We're talking about Tennessee, right?
Tennessee. Yeah.
This thing is like sideways.
Where's Tennessee? There we go.
There we go.
All right, you can get it. 9.5 is the most you can get it.
9.5
At minus
is
105,
it.
so almost even.
9.5
It's
is it.
105.
So yeah, I don't like to value on that because I think it's going to be more. Give me Tennessee minus 9.5, and by the end of the week, I'm hoping
So-
it goes up.
Breaking news: line has changed to 8.5.
Just now.
Yeah, so
Okay.
So by the end of the week, I'm hoping I can buy that up to like 10.5 if it goes up at all. But I like I said, I don't think it's gonna be a close game at the end.
All right. Last one, Colorado and Nebraska.
Colorado and Nebraska this is the game where I bet like a fan because I would like to see Colorado succeed. So we're going to take Colorado plus 8. Hopefully Raiola is not ready for that moment.
And what was the line at? Was it 6.5?
I want to
it's
say it
8.5
was
now.
at 8.
It's 8.5?
Yeah. I think it was right at 8 flat.
It went to 7.5.
That's
earlier
okay.
today. It went to 7.5.
I am
earlier
going to
today.
go Nebraska minus 7.5.
Fair.
Not going to be a fan.
It
I'm
is
going to
in
try and make
Lincoln.
money.
Looked at the over, but I'm also going Nebraska 7.5.
Let's go.
Raiola is the
Haters.
truth.
Haters.
For record, I have the Buffs under 5.5 wins this year. I've had this game circled. Give me Nebraska minus 7.5.
Nebraska
Fine.
minus 7.5.
It's fine. When
Look,
Dion,
you can take an
Raiola.
outright lead, though.
when Dion listens to this podcast, he's going to be the one sending me merch
When we
because I
make it
was
big.
ride or die early. Early.
Ride or die for Coach Prime.
Exactly.
All right, y'all. That is going to do it. We'll wrap it up here. Sorry we had to cut a few things short. Technical difficulties. We will be back on normal schedule next week. We'll give you that week 2 recap, and then we'll follow that up with the next one, which will be the week 3 preview. Appreciate you guys watching, tuning in. We're going to be out on all platforms again. Did we figure out YouTube? I think we're going to.
We're still figuring out.
We're figuring out YouTube. We're going to get on YouTube as well. So preemptively, like and subscribe for when we get on the YouTube channel
We're
as
some
well.
old heads over here. We don't know how to use technology.
Facts.
All right, that's going to do it. Appreciate you guys, and we will see you next time.